And welcome back. In this next module, we're going to actually get into the solution. So we're going to introduce what is vSphere with Tanzu. And as you can see inside here, for the importance, it's important for you to understand the concepts and the architecture of vSphere with Tanzu. And in order for you to be able to do that, we've got to think back about the previous module that we went over. What does Kubernetes actually look like? And what's the architecture that comprises a classic or a typical Kubernetes deployment in order for you to be able to understand what is the architecture and the bits and pieces that make up vSphere with Tanzu. So we've got 3 lessons we're going to go through inside here. The first one we're going to start off is, what is the vSphere with Tanzu solution basically comprised of? We're going to talk a little bit about, after that, what does NSXT bring to the solution when we're looking at coupling that with vSphere with Tanzu. And then we're also going to jump into the kubectl command line interface. So let's go ahead and get started with our first lesson. What is vSphere with Tanzu? An overview of what does that look like? So our objectives inside this lesson is to talk about the purpose of vSphere with Tanzu and also understand how that fits into the Tanzu portfolio. So Tanzu is a brand, and it's not one solution, but it's a variety of different solutions that are designed to help you be able to run your new containerized modern applications. So we're going to specifically drill into the capabilities and the benefits of vSphere with Tanzu. One of those architectural components that is important to understand is, what is a Tanzu supervisor cluster? So we're going to dig into that. And we're going to dig into the components that make up that supervisor cluster. And then we're going to conclude it with another Tanzu offering, which is Tanzu Kubernetes Grid Service. So let's go ahead and get started. First of all, when you want to run a cloud native application, modern application, it's kind of like putting together a team. And I don't care if you go with, soccer or football, as we call it in other parts of the world, or you go with baseball, etc. You look at it when you're filling out a team, you have various positions that you need to fill in the team. So if I'm playing, soccer, I'm going to need somebody that's going to play the role of a goalie. And I'm going to need some members that I'm going to want to put on my front line that are my strikers that are hopefully going to be able to kick the ball in the net. Well, how does that, what that analogy compares to when we're looking at running our cloud native applications, this slide in front of you is what we refer to as the landscape architecture. And if I compare that to filling out positions on a team, depending on what kind of outcome you're looking for, you're going to need to look inside this solution, this landscape here, and maybe you're going to need to have to pick something out of this particular category. In our case here is I need a scheduling and I need an orchestration solution. So in this case, I would pick Kubernetes because that's what everyone's settling on as is the best way for me to run containerized workloads. And then somewhere inside here, I'm going to need some way to persist my data to store my desired state. So I would choose etcd. Why are we bringing this up to you is when you're looking at a solution like vSphere with Tanzu or Tanzu Kubernetes Grid Service, etc., when you're looking at a way to be able to run your containerized workloads and you compare this solution to other solutions out there, every solution is basically an opinionated way of being able to fill the respective boxes that need to be done in order to deliver a enterprise-ready, containerized runtime environment. And vSphere with Tanzu has selected various players to fill in these respective positions. And when we look at the next slide inside here, you could see we've got a box around specific components in a functional area of running containerized applications. VMware is actually contributing to the CNCF landscape several of these projects, which means we've got resources, people working inside VMware that are driving these respective solutions and contributing to them to propel that solution forward to be able to do more functionality that we feel is needed and the community has also felt that is needed. So just so that you're aware of it, and you're looking inside these solutions, it's the only call out in these boxes here is for you to be aware of that. We've got people contributing to the SIGs, which is the special interest groups for those respective areas. And our respective solutions are typically going to be using those solutions that we're intimate with and that we're supporting to come up with that opinionated solution that we think is going to give you the best runtime environment for running your containerized workloads. So, vSphere with Tanzu is an opinionated implementation of Kubernetes. What is our opinion inside here? Well, we think the easiest way for you to be able to run Kubernetes is, why don't we take your existing vSphere platform. So down here is my vCenter server, and over here is vSphere, which I'm running a series of ESX hosts sitting down here. Right? Here's a series of ESX hosts. And as we know on our ESX hosts are capable of doing compute. They're capable of doing networking. They're capable of doing storage, right? They're all capable of doing that. And why don't we just simply turn that platform into a Kubernetes platform ready to run your containerized workloads? That's going to be the easiest. So right next to my virtual machines, which are already running on top of this platform, we're going to make it as easy as we can for you. And we're thinking this is the you over here, the vSphere administrator running the HTML vSphere client connecting to your vCenter server, to be able to quickly and easily be able to manage a series of Kubernetes pods or a series of Kubernetes clusters right on top of that existing vSphere cluster that you're already administrating. So let's dig in a little bit and see how that actually works. So, in order for you to understand that, I'm going to back up a little bit and I want to talk about the VMware Tanzu brand. And when you look at the Tanzu brand, we have respective solutions that are sitting in three major categories. One, build. What tools do we have available for you to help you build your new containerized Kubernetes-ready workload platforms, the actual containers that are doing your business functions? Secondly, you're going to need a way to be able to run that in an enterprise-grade Kubernetes platform. And then thirdly, you're going to need a way to be able to manage that runtime environment. And Tanzu has got respective solutions in all three of those respective categories. So, for example, in the build category, we've got tools like Bitnami with their catalog so that you can get off-the-shelf, ready-to-go containers that are ready for you to tweak them, modify them to be able to run your workloads, your containers in. We've got the Pivotal, which is another way to help you build your application workload to be able to maybe easily migrate existing stuff quickly over to take advantage of this new cloud native landscape. This class that you're in, we're focusing down here on ways to run our enterprise Kubernetes platforms. And vSphere with Tanzu is the solution we're specifically looking at. Now, we do have other solutions available out there. We've got TKG, Tanzu Kubernetes Grid. We're going to cover some of that inside this class. So one of the neat things about this solution is you basically get a twofer. You're going to get vSphere with Tanzu, and you're going to get Tanzu Kubernetes Grid. So you're actually getting both of them in this particular offering, which I think is the best of both worlds. We also have a solution over here called Tanzu Kubernetes Grid Integrated. This is what we used to be called PKS. Okay, so that is another solution. It is still supported. It is still running. It's got a long history behind it of proven enterprise customers using it, and it will continue to be enhanced, and we are moving forward with that solution as well. Now, what you're going to find is you're going to need to pick one that fits the best for you. Some of our customers are actually running all of them. How would you go? And some of them, and you will too, probably have Kubernetes running on other platforms. You might be running it up on AWS. You might be running it over on Azure. You might be running, an OpenShift platform. Not uncommon. And how do we have and make it easier for you to be able to manage Kubernetes across all of those platforms? Because most people are actually moving workloads around and saying, yeah, we tried this, we really would prefer this. How do we move our workload over, or how do I manage that workload? The third piece over here with the Tanzu portfolio is how do you manage across all of those platforms? And that's where a solution like TMC is going to come into play, giving you the ability to set policies across all of your Kubernetes platforms, regardless of really who's who the vendor is or where the platform resides at. So that's an overview of the whole Tanzu portfolio. We're specifically talking about vSphere with Tanzu. We're talking about the one solution inside here, down here, on how we're going to make it easier for you to actually run Kubernetes in your environment. Now, this solution does include bits and pieces of TKG. So we're actually going to cover both of those. So we've been going at this for a while. Why don't we take a break? And when we come back, let's go ahead and actually dig into the vSphere with Tanzu solution and how we actually go ahead and get it stood up and running. All righty, I'll see you back in a few minutes.